Welcome back to Kevin's European Garage, and today I'm going to show you how to change the oil on this 2021 Audi Q7 55 V6 Turbo. So for this oil change, I decided to use Motul. Normally I would use a Mobil 1 or something like that, but I figured I'd try something a little different with this car. Maybe go every 4,000 miles instead of every 5,000 like I did on my Porsche Cayenne. I got this kit through FCP Euro. They make it pretty simple. They send you all the oil you need, filter. They also include a new gasket and also a new drain plug. So how I'm going to support the vehicle is I'm going to jack it up over here. And then right on that point over there, that goes right up into the frame for the suspension, subframe. So that's what I'm going to use to put the jack stand in to hold up the vehicle. Unfortunately, the cover that's on here is not on here because, well, somebody decided to take it off and not put it back on while doing a service. So there we are. So unfortunately, that means I have to go and buy one and replace it. So right now, sorry, no cover, but it basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, probably about 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 screws are probably Phillips head screws. And that's what you do to take off the cover. And while this is draining, we'll go up and we'll take out the oil filter. Okay, you can kind of see it. That's where the oil filter is. We're going to take off this cover over here. This cover should be pretty simple. It's got only a couple clips on it, and hey, look at that. One of them's not even on there. This has got to come off. And while we're at it, we'll also be able to see what the condition of the air filter is, because this is also the same cover for that too. Hold on the clip. Lift up. And pull the cover off. This is how you change, also change the air filter. But I did notice a few things. Is that when people have been doing some oil changes on this thing, the poor, inlets for the turbo over here for the air filter, they haven't put it together right. So they just jam it back down again, and then they don't line up, and now you get this crease in here which are blocking airflow into the engine. So that's not good. So we're going to fix this. This clamp that needs to be disconnected. Once you get that, you unscrew that, push this down. All right, so get that out of the way. So you get these two where the pins push in right here, and another one right over here. Right here, pull up, right here, pull up. And you're gonna get a beautiful view of the turbo. Now you can see the turbo. Now you have really easy access to the oil filter right there. So now what we're going to do before we put this thing back and everything, we're going to check the other one. You can see that this thing where it went in is pushed up. This one is pretty much going to be the same way too. If not, I'll be surprised. Oh, this one is fine. So it's just that one. So when you're doing your oil change, double check this. Make sure people have did the oil change correctly. Where this thing goes, it's got a groove all the way around it, and this thing slides back into that groove. So we're going to do that. But before we get too crazy with anything, look at where your intake is to the turbo. We're just going to put a rag in there. We don't want anything accidentally falling down while we're doing this. Okay, so let's be careful with that. And here's our rag. Unfortunately, it's been like this for a while, so it's going to be a little difficult. And so you got to push the bottom in first because, well, that's the one that's all messed up. See if we can get it in there. You'll see it when you take it apart. It's got a little slot that's supposed to go into, but it might not go in easily because the thing's a little bent and twisted. All right. So there it goes back in. Put the one back in up on top. And that should be locked into place. top and bottom. All right, so now we're not impeding any airflow into the engine. 1 1/4 fits on there really good. I don't know what is a metric because I don't have the metric 1/4. It's bigger than a 30 and smaller than a 36. Just get a rag so we can catch all the spillage from this thing so we don't spill it all over everything. There we go. And the oil filter. After you're done with this, sometimes it's just good to take a look at it, see if you see any large particles or anything like that. This one looks pretty clean, so we're going to put in the new one. The oil filter. Then on this, we're going to change the gasket. It's as simple as taking a screwdriver, pulling that up. When you're putting the new one on, it's a good idea to put a little oil around there just so it makes it go in easier. You're not putting a dry gasket on the sides over here. So we're going to take that, put this on. Okay. And then just grab a little bit of oil from the inside. Okay, now we're ready to put this thing back on. Like this. And I'm just going to line it up to here. There's a little hose over here. You might have to lift it up and pull it up a little bit. So I always like to get started by hand, make sure everything is good. And I like to make sure it's just snug. Not over tighten it, but make sure it's snug. Okay, so now we got the oil filter changed, and now I'm going to show you how to properly put back on this cover. So this cover, when it goes on, the little intakes, they ride in here, 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 and here. It goes in there. Before, they were just bent up and pushed up over in the center because someone didn't bother to take the time to slide it in here. So this is why you got to make sure you put this thing on properly. You don't want to impede any airflow. You lose horsepower, lose miles per gallon if this thing is not sucking in the proper amount of air. So let's put this thing back on properly. So this thing has to slide directly into the back first. All right, so both these are in. You slide it, put it back. So now the next thing you got to do, you got to put all 3 of these kind of back on at the same time. So we'll just start over here. Where push down on that to kind of get it started. Yeah, I can see why it's easy to mess it up. So that one's first started. So kind of get it ready to roll inside there. Next one, do the same thing. Gotta push it down above that because it has to go in the inside. That's why it's got those fins there for it. All right, get this kind of started in the position that it needs to be in. Line up your pins on both sides and line up your intake. Line it up, make sure it's all the way around it on all sides. Should just slide right up. Just take a quick look. Give it a quick feel around the back side. Should be all set. Just take a light and we'll look. Just gotta pull up a little bit on the side over here. All right, that's perfect. Now it's perfectly in there. So now let's tighten this up. All right, so now we're gonna push this thing down onto the tabs. One right there. All right, and now we have to finally finish putting these things in because these things only get slightly lined up, and now you gotta finish it. So now I finished pulling it in. You can see the tabs lined up here. This thing's close to being lined up at the top over here. And there's another tab that comes in on this side over here. Now the big thing is to go look in the inside here. As you can see, instead of this thing being bent up, sitting on top of over here, now it's in where it's supposed to be. Now it's pulling in from outside air instead of some air from the engine compartment. So it should be a little bit more efficient. Again, we slide it up so that thing's locked in its place. Pull this one also till it's locked in its place. Go look on the inside to make sure the thing is not bent. And nope, it's not bent up, so now that thing is in there properly. And before I put this cover back on, I just give it a quick wipe down, because you get your oil filter thing here, which actually you have to take this off too. This thing slides in and out. I'm also going to give this a wipe. So we put this thing on at an angle like this. We got to get it to lock into all those slots in the back. So now we'll put this thing on, lock them in the pins. Okay, that takes care of putting this thing back together. And now what we're going to do is going to go back underneath and we're going to put the plug back in the oil pan. Before we do that, we're going to put the clamps back on. All right, so that completes the top portion, except for putting in the oil. Let's go back down in the bottom and put the drain plug in. All right, we're down here on the bottom. So this is the new plug and gasket that comes with that kit. All right, it's nice and tight. Wipe it off so you can verify you have no leaks later on. Now, if you had the cover, you would put the cover back on, which I don't have the cover, so no cover to put on. But all right, so now let's go to the top, and we're gonna get starting to put in the oil in this. This thing takes over 7 quarts of oil. And this thing is 5 liters, so it's basically about 5 quarts. So far, I've had a good experience with the mold tool. I use the mold tool on my 996. I use their 300V, their motorsports oil, and I've really liked using that stuff. So that's why I decided to try it on this car. I currently don't have anything to reset the oil change light on here and all the maintenance stuff. So that's not going to be part of this video. That would be a future video. I'm going to research, a tool to do that. And try to get something that's, I mean, they make some really nice ones that are really expensive, but, that's not really what most people are going to need, like you guys. So I'm going to search through and try to find something that works on this car. Plus, it should work on other cars too, so it's not a waste in just buying like an Audi specific one. So this thing's supposed to take about 7.1 something quarts of oil, but I don't know if that includes the oil filter. So we're going to put in about 7 1/4, and that's about where we're going to be. Maybe just a little bit more, and we'll start it and we'll check it. You can see I checked the oil level. It's showing that oil level is good, and it's up to the max all the way to the top. So we're going to start the car, we're going to drive it a little bit, and then double check it afterwards just to make sure, especially since this is my first time changing oil in the car. I want to see exactly how this thing is working after putting in 7 1/4 quarts. So we're right at the max, so let's see. So let's go and go for a drive and just follow the instructions. It said after you're done, you wait 2 minutes, and then you'll be able to check it as long as the engine is warm. So I just want to make sure that that's the correct amount. So that's why we're going to take for a quick test drive, bring it back, let it sit for about 5 minutes or so, and then we'll double check that oil level. Okay, so you can see that it's just a little bit below the max, so maybe I might just put in a little bit more. This is after driving around. I might let it sit for a little bit just in case, not everything is settled down to the bottom yet. I don't want to overfill it. But this shows you that 7 1/4 does you pretty good right there. All right, there is a little oil change set interval on this thing, but I thought it was only 2,000 miles, but we're going to see what happens over here. So we're going to go to vehicle, starting from the home screen. Settings and service. Make sure the car is on. Service interval. It says next oil change was due in 100 miles. So inspection has been due for 02/24. So I don't know if we could reset this. Well, let's just see what's happened. So are you sure you want to reset the oil change interval? Yes. See, it only went up 2,000 miles. Next oil change, 2,000 miles. So I don't know if you hit it again. You want to reset the oil change interval? Yes. Yeah, see, it just goes up 2,000 miles, which is fine. So it'll tell you in 2,000 miles that I'm halfway there for my oil change. So thanks for watching Kevin's European Garage. Thanks for watching me change my oil on this 2021 Audi Q7. If you're not subscribed to my channel, subscribe to my channel. All that stuff helps out with the algorithms. It helps me get more people here, and that works out for me because it works out for you actually, because then I can get more videos, I can do more stuff. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.